Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said,
This Turning Point conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs.
Every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against these, because against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with.
Joe Rogan didn't just throw shade, he detonated a verbal nuke. The kind that rattles walls and leaves everyone scrambling for cover. With the accuracy of a drunk but determined drone, Rogan took aim at The View, a daytime talk show that has long felt more like America's loudest group chat than serious commentary. While most pundits dodge controversy with carefully worded statements or legal-safe banter, Rogan barreled through the circus with chainsaw precision. It wasn't half snark or casual sarcasm either. This was peak Rogan. Raw, caffeinated, and merciless. The kind of commentary that makes studio executives glance nervously at the thermostat. His roast wasn't just comedy, it was a reality check. The uncomfortable kind that makes plush studio couches suddenly feel like witness stands. But the real dynamite came when Charlie Kirk stepped into the spotlight. The conservative activist, often ridiculed by mainstream outlets, didn't just complain. He went nuclear, reportedly filing a $100 million lawsuit that reads less like a legal move and more like a declaration of war. Rogan never one to ignore. Fireworks dove right in, not as a lawyer, thank God, but as the nation's unapologetic commentator-in-chief.
this is the most important part. This was right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement.
So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
Regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo...
Not as a political operative, but as the everyman's bullhorn. Joe Rogan weighed in, and what he dropped left a crater visible from space. For years, The View has recycled the same tired playbook. Toss accusations like confetti, spin narratives, tighter than grandma's Tupperware lid, whip up outrage, then act shocked when someone finally fights back. But Charlie Kirk didn't just clap back. He rolled in with lawyers on speed dial and a war chest fat enough to bankroll a sequel to the chaos. This wasn't a Twitter slap fight or a sternly worded press release. This was courtroom Mortal Kombat. And in today's climate, where reputations vanish faster than TikToks, Kirk's counterstrike wasn't just legal, it was symbolic. His message? If you're going to play dirty, you'd better come with bail money. Here's where it gets delicious. The View's classic routine, gasp dramatically, moralize for 5 minutes, then toss to a detergent commercial is useless against a $100 million lawsuit. You can't Tide Pod ad your way out of that. While the co-hosts clutched pearls like they were auditioning for Downton Abbey, Rogan's reaction was savage. He didn't just shrug, he belly laughed in their faces. Watching him weigh in was like watching a grizzly dismantle a carnival lion act. Zero contest, zero subtlety, pure dominance. For millions fed up with media hypocrisy, this was the takedown. They'd been craving without knowing it. Because here's the unspoken truth the legacy press won't highlight. The View has devolved into a televised group chat for coastal elites. It's not about genuine diversity of thought's conformity. In outrage cosplay, agree with the script and you're cheered. Dissent and you're mocked, smeared, or drowned out. Accountability? That left the studio with Barbara Walters, which is why Rogan's response didn't just sting, it detonated. He didn't simply roast the hosts, drag the entire circus tent into the spotlight. This wasn't just another media dust-up, it was a cultural reset. Kirk, with his lawsuit, drew first blood. Rogan, with his mic, made sure everyone saw where the wound bled.
Well, it is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies infested hen house.
And at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows.
They just lit up the busted wiring of American media, where clout brings bigger checks than truth, and outrage pays better than honesty ever will, and The View. They're stuck knee-deep in a PR swamp with no life raft in sight. Be real. When you're staring down a $100 million lawsuit and the world's most watched podcaster decides to roast you, giggling your way out isn't an option. What makes it worse is their eerie silence, since no fiery rebuttal, no spicy, clapback segment, just limp detours into fluff. Meanwhile, Rogan's words detonated online. Clips ricocheted across Twitter and TikTok, dissected, memed, and cemented into digital immortality. It wasn't just about what Rogan said, it was about what they didn't. For a show that thrives on confrontation, their sudden vow of silence was louder than any rant they've ever broadcast. Almost as if they finally realized some people aren't just clapping back. They're fully armed and ready to go nuclear. And here's the uncomfortable question. When did daytime TV morph into a weaponized lounge for soft propaganda? It's dressed up with laughter and girl talk. Behind the curtain lies a script of loaded questions. Carefully packaged outrage, and a studio crowd trained to clap on cue like a laugh track. Kirk saw the script. Rogan shredded it, and the rest of us are waking up to the fact that our entertainment is activism disguised as chit-chat, fueled by Nielsen ratings and advertiser-approved outrage. Now the script is flipped and here's why it's especially dangerous. This lawsuit isn't symbolic. A $100 million claim has the power to end careers before the gavel even drops. Win or lose, Kirk's case forces skeletons out of closets. Emails, tapes, backroom whispers, every contradiction ABC execs prayed would never see daylight. Discovery will be brutal. Depositions, a bloodbath. And every leak will be content gold for Rogan, conservatives, and independent media. This isn't just a lawsuit. It's open season on media hypocrisy, and The View waddled straight into the crosshairs. Let's not kid ourselves. This is far from over. This is just the opening tremor before the landslide.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions: suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is. That used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right, and now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing, and I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side, and if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do, and no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is the gateway drug for young men that thought they were Democrats to become MAGA. Joe Rogan is the bridge, and on that bridge they'll see RFK, they'll see Elon Musk.
Because now other media personalities, especially on the left, are perking up like cats that just heard the can opener. The days of tossing accusations like Mardi Gras beads and walking away scot-free might be finished. Say something false, defamatory, or downright malicious on national TV, and you'd better show up in court with receipts. If you don't, the Rogans of the world are waiting mics, hot audiences massive, and memes on standby, ready to blast. You stumble across every corner of the internet. So, what happens when the unstoppable force of conservative legal firepower collides with the immovable smugness of daytime television? We're watching the collision in real time? The View's brand of moral superiority is finally meeting its counterpunch, not just in the courtroom, but in the far more brutal court of public opinion. And unlike a scripted spat or a prepackaged debate, this isn't going to wrap up with 2 commercial breaks and a dab of powder. This is a war of narratives, of values, and of whatever scraps of trust still exists between legacy media and the people they claim to represent. Here we stand, America's most recognizable daytime talk show, cornered like a diva without a spotlight. They're not just dodging Kirk's $100 million legal Grenade, they're staring down a media landscape that's tossing out the old rulebook. Let's be honest. The View never thought they'd be on the defensive. They built their empire on virtue signaling and selective outrage, shielded by loyal fans and a cozy media bubble. But that bubble just popped. They fired shots. And this time someone fired back, with lawyers in suits and a podcaster who doesn't give a single sacred cow moo about Hollywood. The irony is, Chefsky's delicious. The same hosts who spent years sermonizing about privilege are now being roasted for lounging in theirs. They've played referee in a rigged game, blowing whistles at opponents while crying victim anytime the whistle turned on them. But smear people on live TV long enough. Throw around loaded accusations for claps and retweets, and eventually someone's going to call foul. That's exactly what Charlie Kirk just did. Love him or hate him, the move was ruthless and undeniably brilliant.
The real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. And they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her.
So between ambushing Zelensky and this, why would world leaders continue to come to the White House?
Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. If you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, a lot of them are paid because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire.
This is the problem with getting all your information from Laura Loomer and Elon Musk. This is what they're going to deal you.
It's a very strange show.
By filing that lawsuit, Charlie Kirk ripped the curtain off The View, exposing it not as a daytime discussion forum, but as a narrative missile silo disguised with coffee mugs. And then Joe Rogan stormed into the chaos. Boom. Instant detonation. He didn't just critique the show, he scorched it. No legal jargon, no political doublespeak, just plain talk so sharp it sliced deeper than any courtroom dagger. Rogan's gift is his blunt delivery, words that land like heavyweight punches. His roast wasn't just funny, it was surgical. He spotlighted the faux outrage, the discount bin intellectualism. The panel that behaves more like a high school clique than credible commentators. And people devoured it. Why? Because millions are sick of mainstream media's double standards. And Rogan, for better or worse, has become their megaphone. That's why The View is sweating. Rogan's reach doesn't just beat their ratings, it obliterates them. He's in earbuds during commutes, blasting in gyms, echoing through kitchens at dinner prep places the daytime show can't even dream of reaching. And when Rogan unloads a takedown, it doesn't fade with the news cycle. It tattoos itself onto the culture. Memes, clips, shares digital wildfire. Suddenly, The View isn't steering the narrative. They're trapped inside it, flailing with spin that lands harder than a bad SNL sketch. And that lawsuit. Smug grins won't save anyone in court. A $100 million claim isn't background noise, it's a career-threatening meteor. Even if that figure is padded for drama, the optics are nuclear. Imagine depositions with high-priced hosts grilled over their words, motives, and whether they even Googled before tossing names into the outrage blender. Emails, Slack threads, off-air snark dragged under courtroom fluorescence. That's not cleanup. That's a reckoning. And while this legal earthquake shakes the ground, the media elite are still pretending it's business as usual.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sonny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back.
CNN won't touch it. MSNBC brushes it off like some tacky street magician trick. Meanwhile, ABC, the proud parent of The View, is in full-blown panic mode, dumping buckets of PR water onto what looks more like a 5-alarm fire. But here's the thing, the internet never forgets. And neither does Joe Rogan. He's already torched the hypocrisy, laughed at the pearl clutching, and made it brutally clear he has zero patience for the moral theater staged on that couch. That's the wound that stings most. Rogan doesn't. Just disagree with The View. He disrespects them. And mockery that exposes how unserious you really are. That's a dagger no press release can dull. Here's the memo The View refuses to read. The rules have changed. You don't get to dominate the mic for years and then play damsel in distress when someone fires back harder. You don't get to cancel people without consequence and then cry injustice when the legal hammer drops. The game shifted. The audience shifted, and the new rules don't favor the old gatekeepers. They strip them bare. Because The View isn't just bad television. It's a living symbol of everything broken in institutional media. Smug, insulated, drunk on its own moral fumes. Woefully unprepared for a backlash that doesn't just question authority, but laughs at its naked emperor doing a victory lap. Charlie Kirk's lawsuit might not hold up in court, but it's already racking up wins in the only courtroom that really matters, public opinion. He's painted The View as weak, hypocritical, and painfully vulnerable. And Rogan? He soaked the stage in gasoline, tossed a match, and grinned as the whole set went up in flames. But here's the bigger play. This isn't just about Kirk, Rogan, or a few overpaid talk show hosts. It's about the war over who gets to control the American narrative. For decades, daytime TV, corporate news, and Hollywood glitterati strutted like untouchable gods, smearing, dodging and skating by without consequence. Not anymore. The challengers aren't politicians or think tanks. They're independent voices with audiences bigger than cable networks, fueled by fans who refuse to buy the spin. That's the nightmare The View can't escape. Not the lawsuit, not Rogan's mockery, but the cold truth that culture sprinted ahead and left them wheezing in the dust.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show. If the CIA is engineering, Antifa in the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View.
They built their empire in an era without counterweights, when their voices echoed unchecked, as though they alone narrated the national conscience. Back then, there was no real competition, just a captive audience nodding along. But now, the room is crowded with louder, sharper, and far more persuasive voices. Instead of adapting, they've doubled down on sanctimony and censorship. Bad call. Every time they swing at someone like Rogan, they expose how fragile their grip really is. Every time they brand Kirk dangerous for lawyering up, they reveal just how terrified they are of accountability. And every time they chuckle off criticism, prove they still think they're untouchably, as the floorboards creak beneath them. So what's next? Does The View go on the offensive, spinning this fiasco into some noble, teachable moment about disinformation? Do they recast themselves as victims in a drama they scripted? Or do they retreat into silence, hoping the storm passes while lawyers scramble to patch the cracks with PR duct tape? Doesn't matter. Too late. The damage is done. Rogan's takedown is already internet legend. Kirk's lawsuit has already become a rallying symbol. In The View, they've lost something. Applause lines and ad revenue can't buy back credibility. Right now, they're not just licking wounds. They're pretending the knife was never there. No statements, no rebuttals, just that eerie daytime TV grin stretched over silence. But the silence is deafening. When your entire brand is built on speaking truth and suddenly you have nothing to say when the spotlight hits you. That's not strategy, it's confession. Meanwhile, the internet is gleefully doing what it does best. Digging up receipts, clipping rants, and asking the one question The View can't answer. If you're so confident you're right, why are you so scared to speak?
Did you watch the episode when Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself and Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said?
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, again, these people have dementia. These are people who like should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform. I mean, it is crazy. They have no idea. These people have never read like a book.
And there's versions of it.
Rogan didn't tiptoe around their reputation. He bulldozed it. He treated them like what they've become. Overpaid hypocrites cashing checks for stirring up televised nonsense. The internet cackled in unison. What he delivered wasn't just mockery. It was a cultural slap across the face, a fluorescent line in the sand. He exposed just how flimsy and disconnected these legacy platforms really are. When one guy with a microphone and blunt opinions can rattle a media empire older than dial-up, that's not roasting, that's revolution. The View was never built for defense. Now that they're forced into it, they're unraveling live. And no shade of foundation, no scripted segment, no canned laughter can cover the cracks. This isn't just about one lawsuit. It's the symbol of something far larger. For decades, mainstream media treated public figures like punching bags in a morality gym, swinging without consequence. But the rules got rewritten. Audiences are done. They don't trust networks. They don't trust talking heads. And they definitely don't trust smug panelists who preach until lawsuits appear then sprint behind corporate lawyers like kids. Running at recess? Charlie Kirk's lawsuit may be the first haymaker of this magnitude, but it won't be the last. He cracked the door open, and others will come charging through. Once someone proves the media elite can be dragged into court instead of just trending on Twitter, the gloves aren't off, they're shredded. What we're watching isn't a minor scandal. It's the implosion of one-way outrage culture. The only question left is who's next?